The darkness of space was silent, cold, endless. A small broken fleet drifted through the void, barely holding together. The ships, once part of a proud civilization, were now nothing more than rusting metal, patched together with desperation. Inside the largest vessel, Commander Velrin of the Vorlon race sat in the dimly lit control room. His green, scaled hands trembled as he typed in the last sequence. The distress beacon flickered weakly. It was old, outdated, just like the ships, just like the hopes of his people. Final transmission. Sent. A tired voice announced from behind him. Velrin turned. His second-in-command, Hera, looked just as exhausted as he felt. "No one will answer," she whispered. Velrin clenched his fists. Someone has to. Their homeworld was gone. The great Galactic Council had turned their backs. Even their supposed allies had refused to help. The Vorlons were dying, and the galaxy did not care. This distress signal was their last hope. But would anyone listen? A lonely signal in the dark. The signal traveled through space, passing abandoned colonies, forgotten satellites, and asteroid belts. Countless advanced civilizations received it and ignored it. The Xilari Republic, the largest trade empire in the galaxy, marked it as low priority. The Tarn Dominion, a warrior species, laughed at the weakness of the Vorlons. Even the neutral Arvex consortium blocked the transmission. Helping outcasts was not profitable. The distress signal floated on, weaker and weaker, until it reached an unexpected place. Earth receives the signal. On a small human space station, deep in the Sol system, a blinking red light appeared on the screen. "Captain, you need to see this," said Officer Ryan, his eyes glued to the transmission logs. Captain Alina Carter walked over, her brow furrowed. The distress call was old, weak, almost lost in space. "Who sent it?" she asked. Ryan ran a check. An alien race called the Vorlons. Never heard of them. The message translated onto the screen. "We are the last of our kind. Our home is destroyed. We have no food, no supplies, no hope. If anyone is out there, please, help us." A long silence filled the room. The crew exchanged uncertain glances. Earth was still new to the galactic stage. The larger alien empires saw humanity as insignificant, weak. Interfering in this could mean trouble. "Should we ignore it?" Ryan asked. Captain Carter took a deep breath. She had heard stories of the Galactic Council's cruelty, their way of picking and choosing who lived and who died. She stared at the screen, then at her crew. And then she made the decision that would change everything. "Set a course. We're going to find them." Humanity had always been different, and this time they would not turn away. The UEA's Horizon, a mid-sized human scout vessel, exited hyperspace near the coordinates of the distress signal. Captain Alina Carter stood at the bridge, eyes locked on the mass of broken ships drifting in the darkness ahead. "My God," whispered Officer Ryan. The Vorlon fleet was in terrible condition. Their ships were barely holding together, metal plating ripped and scorched, lights flickering like dying embers. No shields, no weapons, no defenses. Carter knew one thing immediately. These people weren't just in trouble. They were waiting to die. "Hail them," she ordered. Ryan activated the comms. Static filled the air before a weak voice finally answered. "This is Commander Velrin of the Vorlon fleet. Identify yourself." Carter stepped forward. "Commander Velrin, this is Captain Alina Carter of the United Earth Ship Horizon. We received your distress signal. We're here to help." Silence. Then, something unexpected. A shaky breath. Not from weakness, from disbelief. The truth about the galaxy. Velrin's face appeared on the screen. He looked exhausted, malnourished, defeated. "You actually came," he murmured. Carter frowned. "Of course we did. Why wouldn't we?" Velrin chuckled bitterly. "Because no one else did." He explained what had happened. The Vorlons were once part of the Galactic Council, a collection of powerful empires that ruled the known universe. When an enemy fleet invaded their homeworld, the Vorlons begged for help. But instead of assistance, the Council abandoned them. Their allies refused to fight. Their friends turned their backs. Their world burned. Now, they were hunted, seen as worthless refugees in a galaxy that only valued power and profit. And just when Carter thought it couldn't get worse, Valoran's voice dropped to a whisper. "We are not alone." The shadows in the dark. Carter's pulse quickened. "What do you mean?" Valoran's screen flickered. He turned his camera toward the darkness of space. And there, hidden among the asteroids, other ships waited. Not Vorlon ships. Pirate ships. Slaver ships. Carter's blood ran cold. Valoran continued, his voice hollow. "They've been waiting. Watching. They know no one will come for us. They're waiting for us to become too weak to fight back, so they can take what's left." A beat of silence. Then, "Captain, incoming vessels," Ryan shouted. The enemy ships were moving. The pirates had seen them arrive. And now, they were coming to take everything. A choice that changes everything. Carter's mind raced. This wasn't humanity's fight. The smart choice was to leave, to pretend they never saw this. But as she looked at the Vorlon fleet, starving, dying, helpless, she knew. She would not turn away. Carter gritted her teeth and turned to her crew. "Power up the weapons. Shields up. Call Earth." Ryan's eyes widened. "We're actually fighting for them." Carter's jaw tightened. "Damn right we are. Because if the galaxy wouldn't save the Vorlons, then humanity would." The UES horizon vibrated as its shields powered up. The hum of energy filled the ship. Red warning lights flashed across the bridge. "Enemy vessels closing in fast," Ryan shouted. Captain Alina Carter gripped the armrest of her chair. On the view screen, 4 pirate ships moved swiftly toward them, weapons charging. These weren't just common scavengers. These were well-equipped slavers, and they weren't here for a fight. They were here to capture survivors, to sell them like cattle, and they thought humanity would step aside. Carter's jaw tightened. Not today. The first shot. The pirate leader hailed them. His reptilian face sneered on the screen. "This does not concern you, human. Leave, and we will let you live. Stay, and we will take your ship too." Carter smiled coldly. "Try it." Then she cut the transmission. A split second of silence. Then the first laser blast shot toward them. "Brace," Ryan yelled. The horizon tilted violently as the shields absorbed the impact. Sparks flew across the bridge. Carter's voice was steady. "Return fire." A thunderous boom echoed as the horizon's railguns launched a barrage of fire. The nearest pirate ship took a direct hit. Metal ripped apart, flames bursting from its engines. 1 down. 3 to go. A desperate defense. Valoran and the Vorlons watched in shock from their failing ships. No one had ever fought for them before. No one had ever cared. And yet here was a single human vessel, small, outgunned, standing between them and destruction. Valoran's hand shook. They are fighting for us," Terra whispered. Valoran's mind raced. They had no weapons, no shields, nothing to offer. But that didn't mean they were helpless. He turned to his crew. "Get every ship online. We may not have weapons, but we can still move." Terra's eyes widened. "But where would we go?" Valoran glanced at the human ship, still firing relentlessly at the enemy. "Wherever they go, we follow." Against the odds. The horizon ducked and weaved, avoiding a barrage of plasma fire. 1 pirate ship exploded under the force of their railguns, but the last 2 were closing in fast. Ryan cursed. "Shields at 40%. We can't take much more." Carter clenched her fists. Then, her screen flashed. "Captain, incoming ships." Carter's stomach dropped. More pirates. A full fleet. But then the message came through. It was Earth. This is Admiral Graves of the United Earth Navy. Hold your position, Horizon. Help is on the way. Outside, the stars lit up as an entire fleet of human warships dropped out of hyperspace. The pirates hesitated. They had come expecting helpless refugees and a single human scout ship. Instead, they had walked into a war. Carter's lips curled into a smirk. Now, let's see who wants to fight. The darkness of space erupted with light as the United Earth Navy arrived. Dozens of human warships emerged from hyperspace, their weapons already charged. The pirate fleet, once confident, now hesitated. "Captain, the enemy ships are slowing down," Ryan reported, his voice filled with disbelief. On the view screen, the pirate leader's face appeared again, this time without his arrogant sneer. "You called an entire fleet over these worthless refugees." His voice was a mixture of rage and disbelief. Captain Carter leaned forward, her expression cold. "They aren't worthless, and they aren't alone anymore." For the first time in their history, the Vorlon people had allies, and humanity never abandoned its own. "The battle begins." Admiral Graves' voice came over the comms, calm but commanding. "Horizon, you've done well. We'll take it from here." "Engage at will." The human fleet moved like a storm, coordinated, precise, and utterly merciless. Cruisers unleashed plasma volleys. Destroyers launched railgun barrages. Fighter squadrons swarmed the enemy ships. The pirates panicked. They had expected a slaughter, but they had become the hunted. One ship tried to flee. A human interceptor frigate cut it down in seconds. Another attempted to surrender. The United Earth Navy ignored their pleas. Pirates who took slaves received no mercy. Explosions lit up the void as the pirate fleet collapsed under Earth's firepower. A new future. On the Vorlon ships, Velarin and his people watched in stunned silence. Terra, still shaken, whispered, "They fought for us." And they won. Velarin's throat tightened. He had expected humanity to leave them behind, just as the Galactic Council had. Instead, they had done the impossible. For the first time in years, hope sparked in his heart. A message came through from Carter. "Commander Velarin, your people are safe. Set a course for Earth. We'll bring you home." Home. The word felt strange. But as Velarin looked at the human fleet standing between them and extinction, he realized something. For the Vorlons, the home they lost was gone forever. But now, they had a chance to build a new one. With humanity. The battle was over. The pirate fleet was reduced to wreckage, their survivors either dead or fleeing into the void. The United Earth Navy had won, and for the first time in years, the Vorlons were safe. But safety was not the same as security. Commander Velarin stood on the bridge of his damaged flagship, staring at the endless expanse of stars. His people had survived, but they had nowhere to go. Their homeworld was gone. Their allies had betrayed them. And now, they were a people without a future. A message came through from the UES Horizon. Captain Carter appeared on the screen. "Commander Velarin, set your course for Earth. You'll be safe there." Velarin hesitated. Could he trust them? No species had ever protected them before. No one had risked their own lives for the Vorlons. And yet, humanity had done both. He took a deep breath. "Very well. We will follow." For the first time, his people had hope. Earth's answer. The journey to Earth was long and quiet. The Vorlon ships, barely holding together, were escorted by the human fleet. Velarin watched his people, exhausted, wounded, yet alive, as they traveled through hyperspace. When they finally arrived, Earth loomed ahead, a blue and green beacon of life. Velarin felt a strange sense of relief. This was not his world, but it was the only one that had opened its doors to them. As they entered orbit, a message from Earth's leaders came through. It was simple. "Welcome to humanity's home. It is now yours as well." The Vorlons had been abandoned by the galaxy. But now, they had found a home among the stars. The Vorlon fleet, battered and barely holding together, moved cautiously behind the human warships as they set course for Earth. For the first time in decades, they were not running. But trust was a fragile thing. Velrin sat in the cramped command center of his ship, staring at the transmission from Captain Carter. "We will bring you to Earth, but understand, our people will have questions. Some will not welcome you easily." Velrin nodded. He understood all too well. The galaxy had abandoned his people before. Would humanity truly be different? The fading light. As the convoy traveled, Velrin walked through the Vorlon flagship. The halls were silent, filled with wounded civilians and exhausted soldiers. Terra approached him, her voice hushed. "Some of our people, they don't trust the humans. They say it's another trap, that they'll use us like the others did." Velran's fists clenched. The Galactic Council had done exactly that, using the Vorlons as warriors, then discarding them when they were no longer needed. But humanity had not asked for their help in battle. They had simply stood in the way of their destruction. "I don't know if we can trust them," Velrin admitted, "but we have no choice. If we turn away now, we are as good as dead." Terra hesitated, then nodded. For now, they would wait and see. "The Earth awaits." Entering the Sol system, "Captain." The voice from the Horizon's bridge was calm, but Carter could feel the tension rising. On the view screen, Earth came into view, blue, alive, full of hope. For the Vorlons, it was a world of salvation. For humanity, it was a test of their compassion. Velrin exhaled as he stared at the planet. This was their last chance. Would the humans truly accept them? Or had they only delayed their doom? The Vorlon fleet hovered in Earth's orbit, a fragile hope carrying thousands of refugees. For the first time in history, an alien race stood at humanity's doorstep, not as conquerors, but as survivors seeking sanctuary. Velrin watched from the bridge of his ship as Earth's grand cities came into view. He had seen many planets before, some beautiful, some barren, but this was different. This was hope made real. But hope was never simple. The Council's verdict. Deep beneath the surface, in a secure chamber of the United Earth government, heated discussions filled the air. "We cannot take them in. They will bring war to our doorstep," one senator argued. "They have nowhere else to go," another shot back. "And if we refuse them, we become no better than the Council that left them to die." Admiral Graves and Captain Carter stood silently, waiting. This decision would define humanity's future. Finally, the President of Earth leaned forward. Her voice was calm, but firm. "We are not the Galactic Council. We do not abandon those in need." She turned to Graves. "Prepare a settlement. They stay, under our protection." The room fell silent. A decision had been made. Humanity would stand with the Vorlons. A home at last. As the message reached Velran's ship, the room filled with shocked silence. Some wept. Some simply stared in disbelief. They accepted us," Terra whispered. Velran closed his eyes. He had spent years fighting for survival, never knowing if his people would see another sunrise. Now they had a future. He opened the comms. "To all Vorlon ships, welcome home." Cheers erupted through the fleet. For the first time in decades, the Vorlons were not alone. They had found a new home, and they had found it with humanity.